Calgary's a cold city in the winter. Minus 20, minus 30, heck, minus 40 some days. And one of the ways that we Calgarians have adapted to deal with this weather is the plus 15 system. The plus 15s are a bunch of connecting passageways 15 feet above the road that connect basically every office tower in downtown to one another. You can catch the train or the bus or your car to the center of Calgary, walk up a flight of stairs, and you can walk from one end to the other without going outside. It's extremely useful innovation when it's cold out. So earlier today, I was taking a break from work, going downstairs to grab a coffee, have a cigarette. And what do I find but these three creatures just hanging out. These two men and their doe-eyed slattern. Facial piercings, tattoos, dreadlocks, the typical creature attire. And I'm looking at these guys. And I'm looking at this technological marvel that they surround themselves in. And yeah, I know their type. I've seen this type before. They inevitably think of themselves as some sort of warrior spirit, paganistic, what have you. But see, while I look up to men like Roland and Beowulf as a challenge, can I be as great as those mythical figures? These guys look up to Iron Man or the Hulk the way that a child looks up to war heroes. And no, I wasn't mistaking a counterculture musician or artist. I can recognize these types. They decide to come downtown to surround themselves with the works of greater men, to sit there listening to their iPod, these unemployed, degenerate sacks of filth, living in the structures imagined by men of greater intellect and built by men of stronger back than this group could ever hope to be. Cockroaches. Whenever you build civilization, you get cockroaches. Now, my last video was about the broad perspective, the men's rights advocates, the social patterns and dynamics, what's going on. Instead of focusing on the broad patterns, this time I'd like to focus on the individual, about masculine standards of behavior, about how to be a man. And you know, last time there were certainly quite a number of people upset with me for what I posted in that video. Well, before we get to the topic of this one, I'd like to remind you guys of where we are in history right now. We are on the eve of the Greatest Depression. The Great Depression was bad. The bankers screwed the pooch big time with that one. And when you can't come up with 10 years of socialist legislation, things only get worse. It was a bad, bad time. But you still had machine shops. You still had farms. You still had a populace that was trained in the means of production. This time around, we've got the same funny money, but we've exported our productivity base overseas. Our population, our human resources are no longer trained in these skills. The number of tool and die experts, the number of machinists, the number of mechanics, heck, even your average day-to-day person. How many men out there know how to change the oil on their car? We've lost our productive skills this time around. So when this depression hits, rebuilding is not going to be easy. We have a demographic problem here in the West. Our population rate, our rate of children per woman is at 1.6 here in Canada, and it even gets worse in some places in Europe. 2.1 is required for replacement. 2 children, 0.1 for the people that die or are infertile or so forth. We're producing 1.6. And to try and bolster the economy while this happens, we're importing slave labor from other countries to work the dirt jobs that we don't want to work. If you try and say anything about immigration, the liberals call you racist, while the corporations benefit from the cheap labor. We're going extinct. Technology has stalled. The number of new developments in the technological fields is at an all-time low. It's been going down since 1972 at the very least, if not for the past 150 years. We are stagnating as a society. And I know that a lot of people want to argue with me on this, talking about smartphones and Angry Birds and all these wonderful new apps that we're getting. I'm seeing it firsthand. The computers, the operating system, the software is getting worse. There are a few fields where we're still advancing along Moore's law, but there's fewer and fewer by every day. We're making smaller microchips, we're making smaller processors, but we're not inventing AI. Biotechnology, that was going to be the new thing we heard in 1990, has completely stalled. But we can read DNA now, and that's about it. And it's not getting any better. We don't love science anymore. We visited the moon once. Now we're done with that. We're done with that space exploration. We're done with bettering ourselves, with learning how the world works. Instead, we just entertain ourselves constantly. Peer review has replaced genius. And down below is a link that goes more into that, because I know we're all a bunch of science geeks and we want to pretend that the world's getting better, that we're getting more technological. No, we're refining inventions from previous eras. We're not inventing new things. And let's not forget about World War III. World War III is on the horizon. There's people pushing for it. There's so many people that'll make a bloody profit if we go and overthrow another country. If we go and send a whole bunch of patriotic young boys that are young, dumb, and full of cum to go die and get their legs blown off in some third world hellhole to no end whatsoever. A lot of people are going to make a profit off that. The liberals, the hippies, the peaceniks, they're not going to do anything to stop it. We've got China with a massive population problem. Too many men, not enough women. Third world that's exploding in population because we keep sending them free food, undermining their local agriculture. So only the gangsters and scumbags get to breed. The smart money is on a new dark age. And so, if you think you've been hard done by, if you think that it's not fair living in this feminist, anti-male, anti-white world, that you're getting screwed over, tough fucking shit. I'm a pretty empathetic guy. It's what makes me a good author. In fact, I got teased about that in the army all the time. Aurini, we gotta do something about your soft heart. But I can be empathetic with you and your problems and how you got screwed over by this woman or by divorce court or all the other nonsense that goes on in this world. It's not going to make a lick of difference. In the United States, a woman with 3 children off of different baby daddies, when she's collecting welfare and health benefits, has a take-home income equivalent to a family making 60 grand a year. There is no incentive for the poor to better themselves. Why would you make 40 grand a year when you can make the equivalent of 60 grand for sitting on your ass? And if you make 60 grand, how much of a benefit are you going to get from making 120 grand if you have to work twice as hard when it all gets taxed away? And we're not going to vote this situation away. The majority of the population don't pay a net tax. This world is on the rails. And is crying about our problems going to fix it? Is begging government to be a little bit more just, to please turn us into a special interest group, treat us the same way that you treat every other officially categorized minority victim? Is begging and whining and complaining going to fix this world? Or is it tough sons of bitches that are going to fix this world? Because that's what I intend to talk about in this video, is tough sons of bitches. Yes, it sucks. Yes, we've been handed the short end of the stick. But if we don't fix this, nobody's going to fix it. So it's time to man up. Back in the Army, there were 2 sayings that really stuck with me, that I've often pondered over the years, and the older I get, the more meaning I find in them. The first one, the motto of the Land Force Central Area Training Center Meaford Base, is never pass a fault. Never pass a fault. You see something that's screwed up, you see something that's not being done right, you see something that's broken. Fix it. It's such a basic, elegant concept, and yet revolutionary in this world of laziness, of iPads and iPhones that just break and you get a brand new one. This disposable goddamn society. You see a fault, you fix it. This isn't just for being a soldier. This is an attitude of living your life. That if there is something screwed up in your life, in your environment, in your car, and your computer, you fix it. You fix it before it becomes an emergency. Emergencies are what happen when you let little problems go for too long. If you fix the problem when it pops up, if you see something that's wrong, you deal with it, you address it, you learn it, you improve it, you don't have emergencies. And yet, in the modern workplace, this is a moral commandment that you're going to have to ignore more often than not. The fact is, as the corporations are very good at dumbing down the work process. The extreme version is McDonald's. In fact, there's a short story that it's really good at the beginning, turns terrible at the end. But if I can find it, I'll link it below. Where they invent an AI to help you do your job at Tim Hortons or McDonald's, telling you where to go, clean up this, do that now, so you don't have to think. And it's a commentary on the fact that most corporate work is like that right now. Here's your cubicle, here's your job, don't think, just put your brain on autopilot for 8 hours. Respond. They're quite brilliant at turning these jobs into things that monkeys could do. And so as a consequence, the workforce has become lazier, more inept, more incompetent. I can't tell you how many companies I've worked for that had a dozen people doing something that should take one person because they couldn't implement a sane computer system or some intelligent leadership or something like that. We have people doing idiot retard jobs left, right, and center. Now, if you come into one of these places with a brilliant idea, with a way to save the company money, to implement a better structure, something genius, you are threatening entrenched interests. One of the ugliest things about the modern workforce is that you must pass the fault. Something screwed up? Don't tell anyone, or else the guy that screwed it up will harbor a vengeance for you. Now the second moral precept, commandment that stuck with me is one that's completely internal. It's not affected by the actions of others. Never pass a fault, not in this world. We must apply that to our personal lives. Something screwed up, fix it. You're not the man you want to be, fix it. But if you try and do that in the real world, you will get fired. You will get sued. You will get claims of sexual harassment put against you. Second one is completely internal. You choose the behavior. You choose the consequences. You go drunk driving, and you get caught drunk driving, and you get completely screwed over by a system run by Mothers Against Drunk Driving, who, thanks to them, drunk driving deaths have been on an increase for 10 years because they're a prohibitionist organization. They're not interested in sane laws. They're not reasonable. They're a bunch of Puritan zealots. But you chose the behavior. You choose the consequences. Now I remember when I first heard this one, and how mean it sounded. I mean, how many meaningless deaths are there? Accidental deaths. How many just accidents and screw-ups? And, well, you know what, yeah, but we've all made that decision, and he's just the guy that paid the consequences, and you're being pretty mean telling me I'm responsible for my own behavior. It's a testament to how far we've fallen. That saying, you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences, becomes victim blaming. You married your high school sweetheart because that's what everybody does after high school, after college. You know, and you went and busted your back at a job to support her while she was cheating on you. And then she raped you in divorce court. You chose the behavior. You chose the consequences. Well, you want sympathy? You want empathy for that? You want a shoulder to cry on? Because you can cry the rest of your life. And there's plenty of narcissists that would enjoy a good little codependent like you. It's not going to fix the problem. This is one of the biggest lessons we lack, is consequences for our own behavior. Yeah, there's random chance. Yeah, there's good luck and bad luck. But in the end, Unless if you're getting hit by a bus after looking both ways from when you're crossing the street. Stop complaining. Stop whining. Start self-actualizing. Yes, this world sucks. Yes, we've all been screwed over. Yes, it's not fair. Well, whoever said it was fair? Your guidance counselor? Your teachers in high school? To quote the eminent Polaniak again, we are a generation of men raised by women. No wonder we whine and cry about things not being fair. How incredibly womanly. You choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. It's that goddamn simple. Choose better behavior. So what about manning up in this feminist world? Because I know I'm going to get a few comments that already pause the video and decide to complain. Well, what? Are we supposed to man up and marry those sluts? Are we supposed to just accept the fact that our lifeblood is being sucked out of us, that it's men dying in pointless wars to make other men rich, that women are cheating on us with the omega degenerate bad boy males? You know, are we just supposed to accept that and, you know, keep calm and carry on? Good God, folks, I'm doing this channel under my real name. I get fired for this. Hell, I'm in Canada. I could go to jail for this in Canada. Do you really think I'm telling you to man up and marry those sluts? Not a chance in hell. We are living on the eve of one of the darkest times that will ever hit this species. White race is fast trying to commit suicide. Technology is stagnating. The economy is in the dumps. People are ignorant, voting for bread in circuses. I'm sorry, but we don't have time to feel pity for ourselves. We do need to man up. We need to become harder, and we need to be ready to deal with what's coming. No mummy government is going to save you. No daddy Nazi party is going to come guide you to the truth. You know, just sign on the dotted line, stop thinking for yourself. Just join our team, everything will be okay. It's probably the Jews' fault. We'll blame them. No. That's not going to be the bloody solution. Not more of the same. Not doubling down when we're this deep in the hole. The solution is for all of us, you, me, everybody, to start thinking for themselves, to start manning up, to start becoming hard, to becoming responsible for what we do. This is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. This is the future of the human race we're talking about here. If we enter a dark age at this point in history, at this point in technology, there's a very good chance we'll never get out of it. That will lose the ability to mine and refine gasoline, that accelerant that can get us into space, that can get us to the post-humanist era where we can actually start using sunlight as a power source. It's not feasible here on Earth, but it might be out in space. The whites go extinct, and we seem to be working really hard on doing that. Europeans and Jews have been 99% of Nobel Prize winners. And looking at Japan right now, I don't think they're going to be taking up the slack. Whining and crying about how hardly we've been mistreated, about how badly we've been screwed over, is not going to move us forward. It'll be nothing but holding hands and singing Kumbaya as the sun sets on the human race. So you tell me, am I just being mean? Are you feeling butthurt over the fact that I'm challenging you to be a better man than you presently are? I'm challenging myself. I'm certainly far from perfect. If there's going to be a hero that saves us from this nightmare, it's not going to be singular. It's going to be all of us. Never pass a fault. And you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. Do with that what you will. Aurini out, folks.